I think the life of Joseph is the life of Jesus, or the life of Jesus is the life of Joseph in a very profound sense. Let me tell you why this is important for me to say right now as we close. You BSF leaders are going to discover that there are thousands of people around the world who do not want to hear what I have just said. They don't like it. They don't want to believe that God governs the actions of sinful men, like the brothers, jealousy and hatred. God governs the actions of sinful men. They're not going to want to hear this, that the Bible teaches that the sinful selling of Joseph into slavery was the sending by God of Joseph into saving work. So what you're going to need to show them, to help them, because not everybody submits to the Bible, you're going to have to help them see that if they follow the logic of rejecting the sovereignty of God over the sinful actions of humans, they are going to reject the saving work of God in Jesus. That's what you have to show them. That's pretty serious. They're not going to want to go there, probably. That's true, you know. If God does not govern the sinful actions of people in crucifying his son, there is no gospel. Let me read you the key text. This is Acts chapter 4, verses 27 to 28. The saints are praying. Truly in this city, Jerusalem, there were gathered together against your holy servant Jesus, whom you anointed, Herod, Pontius Pilate, along with the Gentiles and the peoples of Israel, to do whatever your hand and your plan had predestined to take place. Herod's mockery, the purple robe, Pilate's cowing to the crowds, Gentile soldiers pushing a crown of thorns down on Jesus' head and smacking him and mocking him. The crowds crying, crucify him, crucifying. All of it doing what God had planned and predestined for your salvation. The gospel of our salvation was accomplished through the evil of sinful men as they killed the Son of God. Random evil saves nobody. Are you with me? Sinful men killed Jesus. Random evil saves nobody. This was not random. 700 years before Isaiah, 700 years before Jesus, Isaiah said, it was the will of the Lord to crush him. He has put him to grief. Isaiah 53, verse 10. This is not random evil. This is planned. Suppose that you are 52 years old. 16 years ago, you adopted a daughter. She was 9, and both of her parents had died. And you had no idea, you couldn't know all the circumstances surrounding her birth and life up until 9 years old. And you believed with all your heart you were doing the right thing. God's glorious father-like grace was going to shine through your father-like adoptive love. At age 25 now, she's single, has a child, and has aborted 4 children. She's pregnant again. And suppose that in her despair and in her sin, she commits one last abortion by committing suicide. And there you are, grandparents, in the rubble of your dreams. Now facing another adoption, your grandchild. And again, you believe with all your heart down into your bones, this is the right thing. And you embrace this child with all the unknown effects of the trauma, and your life is changed forever. That's a true situation in every detail. And a handful of you in this room know who it is. And I ask their permission. One of the reasons I start with that story is because the ripple effect of abortion is not just a woman or a boyfriend or a husband or a grandparent. It cuts right through every part of life to extended families. It's not just a moment, it's a lifetime. Another reason I start with that story is because I want to make plain that what I'm about to say is designed not simply to prevent hundreds of abortions in this church and beyond, but also I want to bring hope and stability and a kind of serious, tear-stained joy in the life of those of you who have chosen to do the right thing at tremendous cost. In every area of your life, not just that area. Now, where does abortion come from? I've got 3 answers. Here's number 1. About 83% of abortions come from fornication. "85% of women who receive abortions are unmarried. Under 2% of those are owing to rape and incest. Hence, 83% of all abortions are owing to fornication. Now, that's an old word. We don't use it anymore. It's not even in the English Standard Version. Used to be in the King James. Fornication. And the reason it's not, one of the reasons, it's not in your vocabulary is because the reality it names no longer is called fornication, it's called recreation. Recreational sex is virtually a given in contemporary entertainment and life. Already 30 years ago, when I was writing occasional editorials for the Star Tribune, like editorials against distributing condoms in high school, the blowback from 20-somethings was like this: "You are crazy. Are you saying we shouldn't experience the fullness of our humanity? kind of kooky pastor are you? Do you think we should give up this essential part of our being just because we're not married? What planet are you from? That's 30 years ago. You do realize, don't you, Bethlehem, that to be a faithful, biblical, obedient, true Christian today is to be crazy? You're crazy, Bethlehem. God bless you. May you live and die crazy. Because fornication is now called recreation, and you're crazy not to participate. Now, Paul, the apostle, the inspired, I love him, friend of mine, said a few things about fornication. Just read you a few. Because of fornication, it's translated sexual immorality in the ESV. Because of fornication, each man should have his own wife and each woman should have her own husband. What's the meaning of that? The meaning of that is that God made sex for marriage. He made this amazing thing, this powerful reality, to be surrounded with the protections of a covenant commitment called marriage. That's what he's saying. A few verses earlier, he said, "He who is joined to the Lord becomes one spirit with him. Flee fornication, or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You're not your own. You were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body." 1 Corinthians 6:17. Oh, how thankful I am for Ruth Piper, my mother, who drilled into me, "Johnny, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, son. Your 14-year-old body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, Johnny. Your 16-year-old body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Your 18-year-old body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Oh, what misery my mother spared me." Moms, are you listening? It really does sink home. If you say it, believe it, pray it, get it in. %83 of all abortions, that's 51 million since 1973, are owing to fornication.